Welcome to my equipment guide video for the Warlord set. This is a very useful set for beginner physical builds because it gives what you want with a physical build. It increases your power, it increases your critical hit chance, and it increases your critical hit damage. And it's a This has full set that you can use, either the full set or individual pieces from start to finish. It does provide some solid bonuses. However, there are other sets and other individual pieces of equipment that can help you more, both in the early and in the late game. So it's not that the individual pieces or the set bonus are bad, it's just that there are other options. However, if you're starting and you get some pieces of equipment for this set, yeah, you can use it until you get something better. Uh, Remember that you can craft, this is a craftable set, and crafting um, let me no oh yeah let me choose it. Okay, for example, with Torgon, if you want to craft any of the three armor pieces, crafting at mythical rarity will cost you 500 ether, but if you want to craft only at legendary, it will cost you 100 ether. So it's something that you can consider if you have some of the pieces of the set, but not all of them. As I said, it can be crafted or it can also be found in dungeon number 7, which is Mount Gobknocker. Here you can farm the different pieces of equipment. There is no variant set yet, but there will probably be in the future. So let's talk about these set bonuses first. For the 2 pieces set bonus, you get additional power for each skull gem on the board. If you can generate a lot of skulls, this is very good, obviously, because increasing your raw power is going to increase both your physical and your elemental damage. For the 4 pieces, it will increase your critical hit damage by 80%, which is pretty good when you start. Later on, you can get much more from individual pieces of equipment, but when you start, an additional 80% is not a small amount. Remember that the base is 100%, so it's a big improvement. And for the 6 pieces, if you have it at mythic rarity, it will increase your critical hit chance by 35%, which again is not a small amount. Now, for the individual pieces, let's talk about them one by one, starting with the belt. This is only legendary. At mythical, it will increase your starting power by 2.5% every time you match skull gems. So it will slowly build up your power. Obviously, the higher your initial power, the better, but it's a piece of equipment that can help a lot with that. The shield, like most shields, is not particularly good. Uh, it will increase your block chance every time you match a big gem that is big 3 or above. This is only epic. At mythical rarity, it will increase your block chance by 4%. So yeah, not a good piece of equipment. But again, there aren't that many good shields in the game to begin with. The weapon. This is an interesting one because this set is physical. This is a pure physical set. The bonuses are, well, power affects both physical and elemental damage, but critical hit chance and critical hit damage are for pure physical builds. However, the weapon deals additional elemental damage depending on the element of the weapon. And this elemental damage will go against the opponent's resistance instead of the armor. So it's considered an elemental attack. It's interesting. This is something that you can boost. For example, this weapon has light starting mana, which is great because it's light color, but it also has light damage. So this 25% chance will be further increased by your light damage bonus. It sounds very good on paper and it can work if you're able to increase both your physical and your elemental damage with your build. But if you're going to do that, there are other options, and I will talk about them a bit later in this video. For the mask, there is a 30% chance to upgrade a big gem by +3 at the start of my turn. At mythical rarity, it will increase it by +4. The problem is that it's only a 30% chance. It doesn't generate more big gems, it just upgrades an existing one. So it can be useful if it's a skull, for example, but yeah, 30% is not particularly good. Next, I'm going to talk about the shoulders at the end. Next, the arm guards. Adds 20% critical damage. At mythical rarity, it's 25% for each big gem on the board. Again, if you have a lot of big gems on the board, if you're using, for example, a 4 royal set that generates a lot of big gems on the first round, it can work very well together. But otherwise, it's again good. It deals a lot of critical damage, but there are other options. And finally, let's talk about the Warlord's Mantle. This doesn't cast Reflect on yourself, it's just a passive Reflect. And it's only for melee damage, so if the opponent is using a missile weapon like a bow or crossbow, or elemental attacks, it will not reflect back, but at mythical rarity, it will reflect back 20% of the melee damage you receive. Now, this is a really good piece of equipment when you're a new player and you can barely scratch a high-level Kingdom Dragon. Let's see if I can load it. It's going a bit slow. Okay. Because Kingdom Dragons attack with melee damage. So if you're a new player and you're trying to face, this is the tier 20 dragon, which is the maximum level for a high level kingdom, he's gonna one-shot you. He's gonna just kill you with one hit. But if you're wearing these shoulders, you will get a lot of damage on it just because it's reflected back. So this is a cheesy way when you start the game to deal some damage to the Kingdom Dragon. It's not needed. I wouldn't go out of my way to get it, but it's something that you can consider. Now, as I said at the start, it's a solid set that you can use from start to finish, and the set bonuses are decent. But there are other options, and that is the main problem for this set. For the weapon, if you are using a physical build, well, first of all, if you want to deal elemental damage, use an Elven Bow instead, uh, because it deals bonus elemental damage. Yeah, it's less, but it ignores armor and it goes directly into the health points. So if what you want to make is a hybrid build where you deal both physical and elemental damage by increasing your elemental damage bonuses, the Elven Bow, in my opinion, is a better option than the Warlord's Battle Axe. For the belt, it is a solid, a good belt, but I prefer the Escar Bandolier for physical builds because I prefer the extra red gems. And for the weapon, if you don't want to go with that hybrid, then you can use a runic mace that will increase your power by a lot, or you can use an Esgard flail. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, this one that will generate additional skull gems. So for physical builds, I think there are better options. For the shield, as I said, there are many good shields in the game, so I guess it's not too bad. For the mask, yeah, there are much better options like a Ghastly Helm, or if you want the extra mana, a Track Helm, etc. The head slot is very contested slot. And finally, for the hand slot, yeah, if you want critical hit chance, the track gloves together with good runic boots are going to increase your critical hit chance much more than the 35% that you will get from the full set. And if what you want is additional critical damage at high levels, if your mastery is high enough, the runic wristbands will give you a lot more critical damage. So yeah, nice, interesting set, but it's just eclipsed by better options at mid and high uh, levels. But if you're starting the game and you want to use a physical build and you have some of the pieces lying around, yeah, absolutely. Use them. It's going to help you a lot, but later on you may want to look for better options. And that is my Warlord set video. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and see you on the next one.